What if I told you that one of the world's poorest countries just made more money in 3 months than most nations make in 3 years? We're talking about $18 billion in 90 days. From gold, the country? Burkina Faso, a landlocked West African nation that most people can't even find on a map. But here's what's shocking. They didn't get lucky. They didn't discover some magical new mine. They simply did something that seems impossible in today's world. They took control of their own wealth. How did a nation dismissed as unstable and poor suddenly generate more revenue than countries with 10 times their resources? Who's behind this economic earthquake? And why is the rest of Africa and the world watching every move they make? The answer will blow your mind. Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new Burkina Faso, where Captain Ibrahim Traoré just pulled off what experts said was impossible. In just 3 months, this nation generated $18 billion in gold revenue. Not over years, not with foreign aid, not by begging international donors, but by doing something revolutionary. Keeping their own wealth. That here's what happened. Gold prices skyrocketed 27% in 2025 alone, and we're only halfway through the year. While other nations watched helplessly as global markets fluctuated, Traoré saw opportunity. But he didn't just sit back and hope for the best. He acted. Since August of last year, Burkina Faso has systematically taken control of 5 major mining companies. 2 were fully operational mines, 3 held exploration licenses. Before Traoré's revolution, foreign companies owned 90% of these mines, while Burkina Faso, the country sitting on the gold, owned just 10%. Today, Burkina Faso owns 100% of them all. This isn't just about gold. This is about something far more powerful: economic sovereignty. Under Captain Traoré's leadership, the country isn't just digging gold. It's digging itself out of decades of foreign exploitation. When Traoré took power, gold mining in Burkina Faso was a murky enterprise. Foreign firms extracted the wealth, exploited local labor, and funneled profits overseas. Corrupt intermediaries skimmed from every transaction. The people whose land contained this treasure saw almost nothing in return, but Traoré changed the game fast. He enforced new contracts with foreign miners, taxed undeclared exports, and demanded that investment stay in the country. Corrupt middlemen got booted. Local cooperatives gained legal rights to mine. And above all, gold had to serve Burkinabe. People first. The results speak for themselves. $18 billion in gold revenue in just 3 months. But this isn't just impressive, it's revolutionary. Western analysts didn't see this coming. How could a small West African nation, supposedly unstable, outperform expectations this dramatically? The answer is simple: they underestimated what happens when leadership serves the people instead of foreign interests. Traoré saw gold for what it really was: leverage. Leverage to rebuild roads, fund energy projects, and give Burkinabe youth a reason to stay and thrive. While critics were busy complaining about authoritarianism and lack of transparency, the gold kept flowing. And here's the kicker: it wasn't flowing into Swiss bank accounts or offshore vaults. It was flowing back into Burkina Faso. This isn't a fairy tale. This is what leadership looks like when it's unapologetically pro-people and anti-neocolonial. With $18 billion in gold revenue already banked, it's clear that Burkina Faso isn't playing small anymore. They're rewriting the rules, 1 gold bar at a time. But here's what makes this story even more powerful. Traoré didn't just stumble into success. This is the result of calculated strategy, bold policy decisions, and a president who refuses to play by colonial economic playbooks. He's the youngest president in Africa at 36, and he's investing in key sectors like mining, agriculture, and infrastructure. Despite facing over 20 assassination attempts, let that sink in. He continues to lead by example, embodying the spirit of Thomas Sankara, who believed in utilizing a nation's wealth to benefit its people, not foreign corporations. What happens next will determine whether this is just a moment or the beginning of something much bigger. Let's be brutally honest about something. Africa's wealth has always slipped away through one dirty system: middlemen. Brokers, agents, smugglers, consultants, whatever you call them, they've been leeching off the continent's resources for centuries. Ibrahim Traoré didn't just notice this problem. He declared war on it. The result? a streamlined system that funnels $18 billion in gold revenue directly into national coffers, not foreign offshore accounts. The Traoré's administration introduced a national gold registry, enforced strict export tracking, and cut ties with exploitative third-party contractors. Gone are the days when Burkina's gold was weighed in secret rooms and flown out in private jets. Today, every gram is accounted for, tracked, and taxed. That's why this sudden jump in earnings isn't just impressive, it's strategic. The $18 billion in gold revenue represents more than money. It's a statement. Burkina Faso is done being the world's piggy bank. Before we continue, let's recognize something powerful happening in our community. The stories we're covering, like Burkina Faso's incredible transformation, aren't just news. They're blueprints for understanding how real change happens when people take control of their destinies. When you subscribe to this channel and engage with our content, you're supporting more than just videos. You're joining a movement that celebrates African innovation, leadership, and success stories that mainstream media ignores or downplays. You're helping us amplify voices and victories that deserve global recognition. This is how we change narratives, not by hoping for better coverage, but by creating it ourselves. Join us in this mission. Here's the game changer that nobody expected. Traoré didn't centralize all this wealth in the capital. He spread it. That's why the $18 billion in gold revenue is showing up in rural schools, local roads, and medical centers, not just in government budgets that disappear into bureaucratic black holes. Under previous regimes, gold revenue got lost in corruption or quietly rerouted into elite networks. Today, regional governments receive a direct portion of gold proceeds for localized development projects. You can see the results everywhere. Villages with new water pumps and electrified clinics. Towns where dusty roads are suddenly paved. Kids learning on tablets instead of broken chalkboards. This is real money doing real work for real people. The government even launched an initiative called Mine to Market, where communities near gold sites receive equity dividends from local production. That means when a mine produces value, the village next to it sees an actual payday. It's radical, it's fair, and it's working. The first thing Traoré did when the gold money started flowing was order a complete audit, a top-to-bottom investigation of every mine contract, royalty payment, and transaction. What that audit uncovered was jaw-dropping: decades of theft, ghost mines, rigged scales, and unreported exports. But instead of burying the evidence, Traoré made it public. He fired corrupt officials, banned exploitative foreign operators, and arrested high-profile smugglers. This wasn't political theater. It was a warning that the gold belongs to the people. Now that he even launched a gold transparency portal where citizens can track live data on production, exports, and government revenue. You can see it all online. Every ounce tracked, every franc explained. This level of transparency is unheard of in West African mining, and it's made corruption not just harder, but downright dangerous. Asterisk gold isn't just shiny metal, it's power. And Ibrahim Traoré is wielding that power like a master strategist. For decades, Burkina Faso had to beg for foreign aid while sitting on literal treasure. Now, with $18 billion in gold revenue generated in just 3 months, they're rewriting those power dynamics completely. No more going hat in hand to Paris or Washington. No more accepting loan conditions that strangle the future. Traoré's Burkina Faso is using gold revenue to self-finance its own priorities. That means funding infrastructure projects without IMF strings attached. That means investing in defense without waiting for foreign approval. That means launching innovation hubs and engineering schools with no middleman involved. This is economic sovereignty in action, and it terrifies a lot of people. Why? Because if Burkina Faso can do it, so can Mali, so can Niger, so can a whole belt of resource-rich, aid-dependent nations finally tired of playing by rigged rules. Western media painted Burkina Faso as a collapsing state, a powder keg of coups, chaos, and crisis. Then came $18 billion in gold revenue, and suddenly, silence. No op-ed could explain how a supposedly unstable regime pulled off one of the fastest revenue increases in African history. Traoré didn't just prove them wrong, he embarrassed them. And he did it with receipts. His administration held press conferences with hard data, published monthly mining reports, and showcased completed development projects paid for entirely by gold revenue. This wasn't PR. This was proof. Western think tanks are scrambling to revise their forecasts. Critics have gone quiet, and global investors are lining up because numbers don't lie. The narrative is shifting from failed state to rising star. And it's happening not because of aid or intervention, but because of gold, leadership, and a president who refuses to be anyone's puppet. For every ounce of gold pulled from the ground, Ibrahim Traoré is investing an ounce of hope in the next generation. That's why the $18 billion in gold revenue isn't just funding roads and buildings. It's powering a youth revolution. Thousands of young Burkinabe are now enrolled in mining technology programs, geology schools, and engineering institutes, all paid for by gold profits. But it goes deeper than education. Traoré launched the Gold to Growth initiative, channeling a fixed percentage of national mining revenue directly into youth startups, agricultural funds, and innovation labs. Think about that for a moment. Most nations bury their youth under debt while extracting resources over their heads. Not Burkina Faso. Here, the future isn't an afterthought. It's the entire point. Even foreign mining firms are now required to hire locally, train interns, and build community training centers as part of their operating licenses. That means jobs, skills, and pride. Kids in Ouagadougou are dreaming of building drones, not just surviving the day. With $18 billion in gold revenue secured, Traoré isn't slowing down. He's laying the foundation for something much bigger, a regional transformation. He's already in talks with Mali and Niger about forming a gold-backed trade zone where member states can trade using gold reserves instead of foreign currencies. This is revolutionary. It could eliminate dependency on the CFA franc, reduce inflation, and give West Africa real bargaining power in global markets. Imagine an entire region controlling its own monetary policy, backed by its own resources. Inside Burkina Faso, plans are underway to build the nation's first large-scale gold refinery. No more exporting raw ore. No more letting middlemen set prices. Burkina Faso will control the full value chain from mine to market. That's how you turn $18 billion in gold revenue into $10 billion. But Traoré knows that gold won't last forever. That's why he's using gold revenue to diversify the entire economy. Green energy projects, local manufacturing, expanded tourism in historic mining regions. This isn't a gold rush, it's a gold strategy. The president is also exploring ways to use gold wealth as collateral for infrastructure bonds, allowing the nation to build roads, hospitals, and schools today while paying for them with future mining revenues. It's smart financing that doesn't require foreign debt or conditional aid. This approach is already attracting attention from other African nations. Development economists are studying the Burkina model as a potential blueprint for resource-rich countries tired of the aid dependency trap. That what's happening in Burkina Faso isn't just about one country getting rich. It's about rewriting the rules of global economics. For centuries, African resources have enriched everyone except Africans. Traoré is proving that doesn't have to be the case if his model succeeds. And with $18 billion in just 3 months, it's already succeeding. It could inspire a continental shift. Imagine if every African nation with significant natural resources decided to follow Burkina Faso's example. Imagine if they all demanded majority ownership of their mines, processing plants in their territories, and transparent revenue sharing with their people. That's not just economic development. That's economic revolution. Of course, success this dramatic comes with risks. Traoré has already survived over 20 assassination attempts, which tells you how threatening his success is to entrenched interests. International pressure is mounting. Some Western governments are questioning Burkina Faso's democratic trajectory, which is often code for "they're not doing what we want anymore." But here's what those critics don't understand. When people see their lives improving, when they see their children getting educated, when they see their communities developing, they don't care about international approval. They care about results, and the results speak for themselves. $18 billion in gold revenue in 3 months, distributed directly to the people who need it most at SO. Here's the question that will define the next decade. Is Burkina Faso's gold revolution a one-time miracle, or the beginning of Africa's economic renaissance? The answer depends on whether other African leaders have the courage to follow Traoré's example. It depends on whether the people of resource-rich nations demand the same control over their wealth that Burkinabe people now enjoy. Most importantly, it depends on whether the world is ready for an Africa that doesn't beg, doesn't bow, and doesn't let others control its destiny. Burkina Faso just proved that African wealth can benefit Africans first. With $18 billion in gold revenue in just 3 months, they've shown the world what's possible when leadership serves the people instead of foreign interests. But this story is far from over. Will other nations follow this blueprint? Will this gold boom create lasting development or attract new interference? One thing's certain, history is being written right now, and we're here to document every moment. What do you think? Is Burkina Faso showing the rest of Africa the way forward? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story amazed you, hit that like button and subscribe for more groundbreaking updates from the continent. The African Renaissance isn't coming. It's already here, and it's being built one gold bar at a time.